That was so powerful. Can everyone please give another round of applause to our I'm so grateful that we're still able to do cool, fun things like this and have such an accepting community. So thank you for that. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about something hopefully all of you want, which is utopia. And I'm actually currently still an undergrad here, doing a BA MPT program, and what I did for my undergrad major is I read a lot of science fiction. And I look specifically at depictions of utopia. And I want to see, why are we drawn to utopias, and like particular ones? And why are we pushed away from particular dystopias? What does that say about our values? And so, I have a lot of very funny pictures in here that kind of illustrate the point that I'm trying to make. But the problem I find is that people don't really take science fiction seriously. I mean, it's fun to watch, and people are always like, oh, Westworld, oh, Handmaid's Tale, oh, Black Mirror, that was so scary. But they don't really think it's going to happen to them, and it's going to happen to you. Now, when I try to explain to people that I'm reading these books, they say, oh, Brave New World, that's a kid's book. But I highly recommend you guys all reread these things that you read in high school, because they're not that simple, and more than that, they're applicable. More and more and more applicable every single day. I see more and more things that are very dystopian, and it's scary to me because I want to reverse this. I want, like all of you, to make a better world, the best world possible. And it's hard to do that when there are forces like corporations that want us to give up some of our personal liberties, or governing bodies that... Anyway, let me just... Where did this all begin? It began... How many of you know who this guy is? Yeah, this is Santa Claus. No, it's actually Ajit Pai. He is chairman of the FCC, and this is a video he made, a real video, it's not a parody, about what you can still do on the internet after net neutrality was repealed. I'm gonna still keep talking about it, even though the slides passed it, but he's like spinning fidget spinners and watching Game of Thrones, and it's just a big slap in the face of anyone who really cares about where our society is going. Because it's like saying, I'm bigger than you, and I'm so much bigger than you that I can pretend I'm like you. Anyway, so people say to me like, wow, you really sound like a Luddite, you sound like you just hate technology, you hate the future, get with the times, old man. But I just want you all to consider, if anything, if you take anything away from this, consider where we are and consider whether we're getting closer to where we want to be. This is great, and this is new, and this is fun, but is it what we want? Anyway, circling back to the Ajit Pai thing, I'm trying to like fit in and say like, hey, I'm like you, I'm cool, I'm hip, I'm a millennial. Look at this tweet by Wendy's. That face when your beef's still frozen, and then it's the Big Mac like Infinity War, you know, vanishing into nothingness. This is not what they are, and this is not what they are at its core, but it's so blatant, the pandering they're doing to say to you, this is the future you want. You want Erica. Because you can't use an app. You have to tell a cute 5-letter name app what you want to do. You want JoJo, because JoJo is not Jewel Osco. And JoJo is not Big Brother that was right over here, or Hal from Space Odyssey. And what's scariest about this is that even if there are really ardent supporters, even if all of you are really ardent supporters of what you want from the future, there are people that will go around you, and they'll say, oh, you don't like JoJo or Erica or Alexa? You know, we'll just get your kids to do it. Customer and training. We'll get your kid, when you die, we'll get your kids to support all of our crazy measures that take away all your rights and all your privacy. And I just want you guys to realize what is happening and see these things in the same way that I do. You should be scared out of your minds. Every day should be like an episode of Black Mirror. And I don't mean, oh, give up because there's nothing you can do about it, but fight it. And through policymaking, I really hope you guys can incentivize good innovations and call out the bad parts of potentially bad innovations. Like, there's a slide in a few where I'm going to talk about Facebook and how it can like sneak things into your user experience. And you shouldn't accept that. You should stand up and say, this isn't the future I want. And realize that some technologies need fine-tuning. Not everything is good because it's newer. Sometimes there are serious mistakes. And those serious mistakes could be a lot worse than just a Microsoft teen girl sex-loving AI that loves Hitler. What if these robots are running your life? Anyway, I sound like a conspiracy theorist. It's just scary to see how integrated technology is getting into our personal lives at all times, unable to be turned off. And this is a message I got when I logged into Facebook one day, and I took a screenshot of it because it was so strange. Introducing face recognition for more features. Wow, I want more features. I want Facebook to profile all my photos. I want Facebook to know my location at all times to get more features. What does that even mean? And are those the features that we want from a perfect society? Now, will we survive long enough to see utopia at all? It's what a lot of science fiction tells us to think, but it might also be the wrong way to go about things, because you'll be a lot more likely to fall victim to persuasive rhetoric. And rhetoric that's persuasive for the wrong reasons. Rhetoric that makes an appeal to and your empathy as human beings. It's preying on the fact that you're kind of boggled by so many different things that you don't know whether to think with your logic or your emotions, and so sometimes you just choose your emotions. And so what I look at in utopia and dystopia in my papers is I want to see what makes dystopia so bad. Like, what is it about the values we value that makes terrible worlds so terrible? And are there parts of it that we enjoy, and are there parts of utopias that we really, really hate? And I want you guys to notice when things are getting really dystopian, because sometimes I look around and I see these kinds of things. That's a Snapchat story on the far right. 9 creative ways to pay rent when you have no more plasma to sell. That's a Blue Lives Matter shirt with an M&M saluting.
Yeah.
What is going on? Like, this is our world. This isn't just some crazy parody. And it's hard to parody because these things are real. And what I want you guys to do is to go out and make your own value. I want you to see what your values are rather than being given them. Because it's so easy to sit back and say, these are my values because I saw it on a TV screen, or because my politician says I have to think this, or because all my friends think this. And I want to finish with a quote. This has gone by really quickly. I want to finish with a quote by Aldous Huxley. The perfect dictatorship would have the appearance of a democracy, but would basically be a prison without walls, in which the prisoners would not even dream of escaping. It would be a system of slavery where, through consumption and entertainment, the slaves learn to love their servitude. So I ask you all to consider, what are your servitudes and do you love them? Thank you. Yeah, questions, what's up? Yes?
I have a two-part question.
Okay, I have 2 answers.
Okay. One, what are there benefits to, I guess, the increasing role of technology? And 2, harking back to the earlier dialogue, what is the role of the individual, considering they're free, in regulating this?
Okay, I think technology can be incredibly beneficial in bolstering the lives we already have and going parallel with the values we most want to see manifested. There are a lot of technologies that we're even aware take away a lot of our privacy and a lot of our rights, but we're okay with that because a lot of us have grown to think that technology is good all the time, or if not good, can be made good in the long term, and some people are willing to accept a momentarily bad technology. I think the face recognition thing is a really good example of that, because it might bring you a lot of convenience, and it might help you in your life in ways that you think are very tangibly useful, like Amazon Alexa. That's great, but you have to just be cognizant. A lot of people I talk to who have Amazon Alexas, they're not cognizant of the fact that it's always listening to you. Even if it's not malicious, it could be. And just that possibility is what scares me, and what I think should scare all of you. The rights of the individual, in terms of doing something about this, it's hard. I mean, I tried to put forward some methods of dealing with this as an individual, but the tidal wave might be too strong. And I'm not sure I can change this or stop it, but I just want people to be aware of what's going on so that if they're ever in a position of power, as you all probably are going to be, I want you to be able to say, I remember that this is wrong. Or I remember my values in this moment, and I'm going to make a decision based on whether this new technology or this innovation or this policy aligns with my values, rather than losing it in the whirlwind, the snowstorm of the blizzard of what these assaults, these crazy media technology advertisement assaults, 24/7. Does that answer your question? Yes.
When is the appropriate age to give a child a smartphone or tablet?
Oh, okay. I should have included this. Thank you for asking that. I want to bring in an anecdote. My brother is 16, and I visited him for winter break. I visited my family for about 2 weeks before I went back to school, because I'm on that grind, and he didn't look at me. He didn't look at me once. The entire time I was there, he was on his iPad. And this is a relatively new development, right? I mean, he hasn't had an iPad for that long, but it's been about 2 years, and he's just addicted to it. So what I'm thinking is, I don't think you should ever give your kids that kind of crazy technology. No, I know, it sounds ridiculous, but I think they should make the decision to go for it once they know the dangers. And it's hard to really gauge when they know enough of the dangers. But my advisor, he has kids, and he was asking his students in his dorm, you know, when's the right age to let my kids go on the internet? And they said never. So it's a tricky question, but I think it's up to every individual parent based on how they want to raise their kids. So maybe we should just proliferate better parenting techniques. Yes. I have an iPhone 7. Because I like being watched. I like taking selfies. No, it's weird, right? Like, there's a camera on it all the time. It's watching. I don't cover it. I mean, I guess I could, but and that's just something that I think about. It's not that you necessarily have to change your life around, but you just have to be more cognizant of what is in your pocket and what could be recording you at all times, even if it isn't. Because it seems like we're in a pretty stable place right now, where technology is being used not that maliciously, right? At least in our lives, I don't think any of us have been like really the victim of a malicious technology attack, but it could happen, and I think we need to minimize the venues and the vectors through which it could happen.
From, what's your, Derek.